220.
Is it me? Oh, yeah, it's me.
Am I the drama?
Yo. Welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylar.
I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday and happy episode 220.
220. Who the hell let us get here?
Seriously.
No, that's crazy.
Angel number coming soon.
Coming
Christmas,
so soon. And it's on Christmas. Like, not on. It's the day after Christmas. It also is going to be our December creepy account.
Yay.
So that's going to be really fun. Mila's in the room with us right now because
Tell him you're drawn, Mila.
You might see her walking around if you're watching on YouTube. She's eating her food in the room so right before Thanksgiving, we were cleaning out the litter boxes before we left to go down to Cleveland just for the day. And when I say we, I mean 100% Logan is in the litter boxes. I am nowhere near a litter box. That is not in my vocab. And that's because I'm a sweet little precious baby girl. So what he does is we have 3 litter boxes in the house because we have one for every cat, which is what you're supposed to do, even though they only use one singular one, doesn't matter. And he goes through and he, scoops all the litter out of, all the shit and piss out of all of the ones. And then he goes outside, throws that away, comes back in, gets the refill little tube thing, and he starts filling up all the boxes. Well, always without fail, during the time that he is walking the bag of litter shit out to the trash can, the cats use that opportunity to go use the bathroom in the litter boxes with minimal litter. So Mila does this, of course. And so Logan comes back to fill that litter, and he sees her getting out of the box. And, she takes 45 minutes to clean the outside of the box, even though that has nothing to do with where she just went and pissed. And so she's sitting there working for 40 hours a week.
Going to fucking work,
just going to work, man.
9 to 5.
She's digging in the fields and shit. It's bad. So she's out there, slaving away. And Logan's like, all right, that's enough, Mila girl. Move out of the way. Let dad handle this. So he bends down and there is pee with blood in it. I come and look at it, and I'm not one to this is so crazy, you're not going to believe me. I'm not the one that initially panics. Ever, never in a million years, especially when it comes to the cats. I always am.
I also feel especially when it comes to Mila.
100%. Because Logan
Mila's
is so...
always got
something going
on.
I've had so many cats in my life, and in the last year I've had to get teeth removed out of this bitch's face. She went under anesthesia twice
for me.
Literally, I've never ever once even had a cat have surgery prior to this girl. So insane. Anyways, so I immediately am this could be that there was something on the bottom, so when she peed and she swiped it, then it just mixed up in it, and that's what it looks like. So I'm trying to tell, but you can't really tell because the litter obviously clumps up
she
around
could just have a cut.
Exactly. It could be something. So I turn around, I check her out, I don't see anything, and I'm she hasn't been acting strange. And typically if a cat has a UTI and you need to rush him to the vet, you can tell when your cat's acting differently. I calm him down. I'm look, we'll just monitor her and really well watch her. And another thing is that the dry food that we give them starting 2 days before we leave for a period of time where they have to eat dry food because they typically get wet food, we start giving them the dry food so they don't get an upset tummy while we're gone. And this dry food is all the color red. So I'm it could be the dyes from the red. There's no way they're not using an artificial dye.
Red 40 dye, Mila.
Exactly. Just coming in and out her urethra. So anyways, she's
I can't even get a healthy diet around here.
So we are I talk him down. We're good. We're watching her. We're keeping up with her. She's still not acting weird, but then I started noticing that she was going to the bathroom a lot more. And when she was going, because I would always check it after to see if there's any more blood, she was only peeing out just a little dime size, which is not normal for Miss Big Girl Mimi right here. She's currently cleaning up her plate, saying that she's done, but there's no way you're done because it's medicated food and you have to finish eating it.
And it smells like shit.
It smells like ass, so please hurry up and eat it. So long story short, because I'm going to wrap this up, we end up just scheduling a vet appointment just in case. I take her in. They're yeah, we're going to need to do an ultrasound. We're going to need to do an x-ray. And I'm oh my God.
You're oh,
but I'm not questioning. I'm fuck yeah.
There goes my hair appointment.
Yeah, I'm cancel the hair appointment, take her back, immediately. So we take her back. It ended up only being with the antibiotic that we got for her and the prescription food that she's on that's going to last us 3 weeks. Only $228.
Which is so...
I don't even have pet insurance or anything like
crazy.
That. I swear to God, I think they just felt bad for me.
For sure.
With this girl.
Or so they forgot to charge you for something.
Yeah, she's got bladder stones, and so we're on a strict diet. She's not happy about it. The other cats aren't happy about it because none of them can eat together, and so you'd think think that they don't know each other. They just came home from 3 separate pounds because like their scents are so off. Like their food's not the same. It's a hierarchy. Everyone's pissed, specifically Nona. And who duh. And so yeah, it's just
Nona has such a fucking attitude.
She does. It's so funny. It's my favorite thing about her. She's the most like she's got the biggest personality of a cat I've ever had in my entire life.
But she's like, I'm better than you.
Yeah, period. And everyone knows. Mila, what? Come here. Get on the podcast.
Mila, eat your food.
Come here and you just sit up here and clean yourself.
You know I don't want to sit with you. You know where I want to sit.
I want to go hang out with Dad.
The whole chair.
Oh. Do you have something you'd like to say? Okay. Meow. Anyways, Morgan, how was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was great. I found a rotting sack of fucking potatoes. They were so rotting. They were leaking through like the rack in the cabinet and staining the bottom black. And I found this because I was like, there's a lot of flies in here. And I'm not talking like fruit flies. I'm talking like fucking flies.
Death flies.
And I'm like, where are they all coming from? And I see one sneak out of this corner cabinet. And now this corner cabinet for me usually is like the extra alcohol from the wedding that's all pounded up down there. And you know, the swing out ones. Well, apparently I had put this old bag of potatoes in the back or in the front, and it just kept getting pushed back.
Because it's a lazy Susan too, right? That one?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't use that one daily. I use the one by the oven.
Yeah.
I was like, what's coming out of there? And I open it. I'm like engulfed in this terrible scent.
Ew.
And not that flies like came out, but I could see like larva eggs at the bottom of the thing. So I'm like, Aaron, let's get to work.
Get up.
Put this in a fucking bag. Get it out of here. Take everything out of that cabinet. I'm fucking deep cleaning the shit out of it. So I did vacuum the whole thing. It was so gross. And then I was just so disgusted with the entire house because I still have 3 flies that I can't get.
Oh no.
And they all fly around together.
They're smart.
And Taylar, I swear to you, they follow me. If I'm in the living room, they're there. If I'm in the bathroom, they're there.
What?
I don't know why. They're like, you killed my babies. We're gonna fucking haunt the shit out of
they
you.
really are.
Flies only
What
live.
if they're just haunts? Like they're just haunting you. They're not.
Maybe.
They're not actually.
Apparently, flies only live for like 25 days. So I feel like I'm on day like 3.
Those are great odds.
You know what I should have done when it was really cold? I should have shut the heat off and let the house go to 20 degrees and they would have been zapped.
Yeah. But the house will do that. Yeah. I know from experience.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to the fish.
It does even if it's fucking 70, set to 70.
Swear to God.
So I went to Kroger and I bought a bunch of cleaning supplies and I just went ham everywhere. Deep scrub the entire bathroom. I'm like, if you're going to fly around, guess what? You're landing on bleach.
Bleach, bitch.
So I made a little contraption with apple cider vinegar, Dawn dish soap, sugar, and water. And I caught like 3 or 4.
That's good.
And a fruit fly. I'm like, where did you come from?
Where the hell did you just come from?
Where did you come from?
That's crazy, dude.
So yeah, that was my weekend. Other than that, I didn't really do much. Just relaxing. I needed to clean. So clean. And I had Aaron's like week and a half worth of packed laundry in a suitcase that we needed to get done.
Yeah.
And it's done. And I've been asking him to put it away for 4 days now.
Ugh.
It's still in a hamper.
You know what you're gonna do on day 5?
I'm gonna text him right now and say the clothes better be put away tonight.
No,
I don't mind doing laundry, but I won't put your clothes away.
If they're not
mother.
up when you get home, dump that shit in the bottom of the closet. I will put it outside on the lawn and you can rewash the whole thing.
I don't mind. Not that I like doing laundry. No one does, but I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
I have to do mine anyway. So what's another fucking load? I
Right.
don't separate anything. You know what I mean? But what I won't do is put your clothes away because it's hard enough for me to put my own clothes away and keep my own clothes organized that I'm not fucking doing it for you. And then that just makes me your mother.
Right.
If I'm putting your clothes away.
I'm not doing
sorry.
that. Yeah.
Not interested.
I'll even fold them, but
I fold and separate. I can't make it easier.
There's no way I could even I even lay out the ones that need to be hung up. I button them. They're ready for you to put a hanger in it. Now, granted, Logan, because my issue is because my job is really just to fold the laundry because it's easy to do our laundry. It's not like at your house. It's in our bathroom that we use, our main bathroom.
Right,
so
as
like,
soon as you take it off, you can throw
I just throw it in the washer, and then whenever it's full, whoever throws in the last thing starts it, and then moves it over. Whoever sees that it's done moves it to the dryer, and then it goes into my pile.
Yeah.
And that pile is 4 weeks deep.
Dangerous pile.
I tried
Taylar
starting it this
pile
week.
is insane. The most I've ever seen was with Susan.
Yeah.
And we walked in. I mean, it
was a mountain.
encompassed the entire sectional. All around the sectional. It wasn't just like one.
And that was an
sharing
8x8 sectional.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, so that's
Huge.
16 foot worth of laundry piled up on it. Probably about 3 feet.
Me and Susan are like, we have to fold
We
this.
can, there's not even a place that we could sit, Taylar. And I'm like, I can't. I don't know what to tell you guys.
And if it wasn't there, then it was on the dining room table,
Yep.
which also seated 8.
Yeah,
So you can imagine how big.
100%. It was a lot.
Actually, seated 10.
If there was
On
a
2
competition for specifically clean laundry piles, because that's the other thing. We work from home. We rotate the same damn outfits.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that I'm in right now is that we're in the shift from warm to cold weather things. So there have been things that are in there completely abandoned that we will not wear again until it gets warm again. And that's what's it's like a mental block because I know that's at the bottom of this pile. I physically do not have it in me to figure out a place to store these things. We got to go.
All right. If you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get creepy. Well, that's very impressive. That
What?
you did 2 sets of notes.
Oh yeah, it's not all the way done, but
Okay.
yeah. I actually have 4 sets of notes. And guys, I want to cover this other case so bad, but you know, I hear the beginning of it and I hear like the basics of it. I'm like, I'm hooked. I've never heard this case before. I'm so in it. So like we start walking through this case and it's like, and the 2 main primary suspects are 2 very, very, very dangerous, prominent men out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And I was like, oh,
Holy
turn it the hell off. Like, huh? So after handwriting 4 pages of notes, I
So
did
like
stop.
they're out and alive and not in jail.
Yeah.
No, that's scary.
Yeah.
Okay. So today I'm covering the widow ghost and nightmare deaths.
Widow?
Widow.
Widow.
You're
Okay.
a widower.
I was like, Whittle Springs?
Whittle Springs? Yeah, no. So in Thai culture, spirit belief plays a significant role in the daily life. Many Thai people believe in spirits that inhabit natural elements such as trees, rivers, mountains, and even animals. These spirits are often seen as guardians or protectors of the environment. The word P, spelled P-H-I, but pronounced P, P-E-E, refers to spirits or ghosts in Thai. And then they are divided into different categories. So you have the Phi Mae, which are spirits of the deceased who have not moved on to the afterlife and are either vengeful or protective.
Okay.
Or you have the Phi Mae Mai, which are spirits of women who died in tragic circumstances or are believed to have had unfulfilled desires in their earth life. And then you have the Phi Phek, or Phi Fuck. I think it's actually pronounced fuck.
Go.
Which are the spirits who wander the earth and are known to cause illness or misfortune if they're not appeased.
Okay.
So as stated, sometimes these spirits are vengeful, but there's one specific type that can bring havoc to local towns and villages. The Phi Mae Mai, or the widow ghost. A Phi Mae Mai, or widow ghost, is the sexually ferocious spirit of a woman who has met an untimely and probably violent death.
Oh, God.
Mae Mai is translated to widow, but it also refers to women who have lost their husbands through divorce or desertion. So if someone was married and they died later on in life after a divorce, then they could be considered a Phi Mae Mai.
Okay.
They are particularly horny, pissed off, and vengeful. But what does that mean for the living that it haunts?
Yeah, no, literally.
Usually
What?
death.
Oh.
Basically, these ghosts travel the countryside of Thailand looking for men to have sex with. The belief is that the ghost appears, typically as a young and beautiful woman in a man's dream, and then they make contact in the dream, which is now a sex dream, and in doing so, the widow ghost drains the men of all strength and life.
Damn.
Leaving them dead come morning time with no rhyme or reason as to why. Now, this was just local lore. This was the legend of the Phi Mae Mai, you know. And there would be some incidents in small villages throughout history where people are like, that was the Phi Mae Mai got him, you know, if someone was dead.
Oh my God, imagine your husband dies and everyone's like, it's the Phi Mae Mai. And you're like, so he was cheating on me in his sleep?
How fucking dare he?
That is crazy of him. Yeah.
It wasn't until 1990 when the media dropped a headline that no one saw coming. The national news revealed that since 1983, more than 700 Thai men had died mysteriously overnight in their sleep while working in Singapore.
Oh.
Medical experts suggested that this was the case of SUND, or sudden unexpected nocturnal death. But throughout April and May of 1990, the press continued to heavily cover these deaths and found that this was also happening to Thai men working in other countries like Brunei or the Middle East. The news media was grasping for answers, as well as the local governments, setting up research teams with medical professionals only to come up with answers like it was probably bootleg alcohol, or they had a vitamin B deficiency, or it was chemical poisoning of unsafe foods, or unhealthy living conditions, or unhealthy work conditions. All of these men had usually, if they were out of the country working, it was because they were working and sending back money to their families, their wives, and their children. But the local Thai people already knew what the answer was. Those men that died in their sleep were victims of Phi Mae Mai. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
But this was happening in Singapore and other countries, so it was nothing that men in small villages in Thailand needed to really be worrying about. There was no widow ghost near them, no Phi Mae Mai, until the media shifted their attention from the global Thai men deaths to the local Thai men deaths. And when men were dying in villages in their sleep, it was time to take precaution. So what were their options for protection? Some men will wear red fingernail polish or tie a red string around their wrists. Both of these acts required a living widow in the village to paint the nail polish or tie the ribbon on the wrist. And the red symbolizes the soul's vital essence, or the quan, from leaving the body. Doing this would show the spirit that another widow had already claimed that person, and therefore they needed to be left alone. So you have to be lucky enough in your village of 40 people that there's someone out there that's a widow that would paint your nails red or tie a red scarf on you to protect yourself. In 1990, the village of Bon Ne Saki fully believed they were under attack by a widow ghost for 6 straight weeks. And their methods of protection were a bit different. All over the village were wooden phalluses, or an erected penis.
Oh, thank God.
They were everywhere, all shapes, all sizes. They had wooden shafts, coconut testicles, and fishnet used for pubic hair. I mean, they
got every detail. They were not missing.
You couldn't have just.
We could have just made just like a plain.
Give me a banana
no
with
ribs,
2 oranges.
No,
we were carving. It's very detailed. Where's the we need the pubic hair. Someone
don't
get the
forget the
fishnets.
pubic hair, guys. It's really important.
Someone get the fishnets.
Oh God.
During this time, these penis statues were at every house and every corner. They were distractions, and I'm assuming offerings, but they never said offerings.
Yeah.
But to me, that's kind of like here,
just use this dildo.
To the widow ghost.
Right.
Like, yeah, here's your penis, you
right.
horny fucking dog. Leave this house alone, kind of thing.
That's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Like the school bus is just driving around, like picking up kids. There's just dicks everywhere. Like it's like a giant bachelorette party
on every house. Yeah, we should package up pink dildos.
I mean, we've got so many of them from all the bachelorette parties.
All the straws.
You know how many straws we've got?
Yeah.
Damn. How many cookies we've consumed?
Yeah.
Damn.
So their method of protection was dicks. There are other methods of protection. Some men will dress in women's clothing, wear a wig, and stuff a bra before bed to try to deceive the widow ghosts.
No one wants to sleep in a bra. Not a single person.
No.
They're scared for their lives if they're putting on a bra.
Yeah. And others don't sleep at all. Villages will often host several all-night drinking and gambling parties for men to help avoid detection. So I'm assuming she only comes at night. So like they're like, all-nighter.
They're like, guys, don't worry. We know exactly how to handle this. What we're going to do.
Get the poker table.
We're going to have gambling, drinks, parties all night. Sleep, never heard of her. Work tomorrow morning. You want to survive?
What's that audio that's like, another shot, bar,
White Claw, another bus, something,
bar,
club.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Gambling, strippers,
literally
drinking,
no
all
sleep.
night,
That's
no
what
sleep,
no sleep. Yeah.
No widow ghost, no death. In the village of Thong Nang Ok, communally, they built a red-tipped phallus, so an erected
Not
penis.
a blood-tipped penis.
That is more than 3 feet long and weighed 200 pounds and was like the focal point, the center of the community.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They had a 3-foot dick in the middle of their village.
Why?
To protect from...
I mean, yep, do your thing.
So they did this actually because so many men were having nightmares in this village. And to them, this indicated that a widow ghost was either on their trail and coming in hot, or in their town or in a neighboring town.
Right.
Especially because these nightmares were all very similar. And they were all of these stunning women who were whispering in their ear and moaning in their ear at night to follow me. Come be my husband in the spirit world. Follow me forever. Yeah.
And these men are waking up and being like, oh my God,
Where's the bra? Where's the honey, love?
And you know, it's literally all that they're thinking about now. Like, it doesn't matter even if it's a real dream or not.
Sorry, calls into work. I'm not gonna be able to make it in today. I have to carve a dick.
Imagine if Susan was the official psychic medium of this village.
Yeah.
The calls that she's getting in the middle of the night.
So they actually do bring a medium in.
Oh, hell yeah.
In another village. In another northeastern Thai village, a married couple placed a scarecrow in front of their home with the sign Hunter of a Widow Ghost. But the scarecrow had a hard on, and it was pretty big, the focal point of the scarecrow. Oh. It was a wooden red tipped penis. And there is pictures of it.
Red tips.
I don't know if it'll make it on our Instagram, but there are pictures
Oh
of
my
it.
God, I would love to get that picture on the Instagram. Let's see.
For sure.
We still haven't got our right back to the live videos. I don't know what else we have to lose.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I tried the other day. Still can't get it to work.
And they said that was going to be done in April.
Yeah, no.
So a lot of people would actually make straw dolls. People would say scarecrow. This couple made a huge scarecrow, like life size, anatomically correct, like looked like human, 6 foot. Okay, that was 5'5".
6 foot scarecrow, red tip penis, 3 foot long.
Huge ding-a-ling. In June of 2018, 2 men in the Tambon Phi Mae district, which is located also in the northeastern province of Thailand, died mysteriously in their sleep. This was a village that only had about 90 people in it, which obviously panic ensued. Right. And a lot of the elderly men are like, if it's a widow ghost, like they're gonna come, they're gonna kill all our young men. Like there's not gonna be any men left in the village. Like we have to do something about it. We gotta get something done. They're freaking out, right? So they contact a medium. The medium came to the village and held a rite at a village shrine to invite spirits to explain the causes of these men's death. Through the medium, the spirit said that it was the ghost of a widow. So I'm assuming that they weren't able to contact the actual spirit, but they were asking the other ones, like, what happened to these people?
Yeah.
Said that it was the ghost of a widow who wanted to take the lives of 4 men in the village. Well, problem with that statement, 2 were already dead, meaning 2 more was going to happen.
Yeah, we have 2 more coming, yeah.
And the medium was right. 3 more men died the exact same way. So obviously the widow ghost, the Phi Mae Mai, is like, I'm gonna take an extra.
Like, you guys pissed me off so bad.
You guys literally contacted my friends here, and
called,
now they know what I'm doing.
You literally asked my friends about me. The fuck?
You could have came to me directly.
You could have literally just called me my direct line.
So because of that, I'm taking that one.
That's horrible.
No, it is terrible. These men bathed at night. They went to sleep feeling healthy. They were perfectly fine. They were young, and then they were found dead in their beds the following morning by their families. Immediately, these villagers were like, we got to protect ourselves. So they didn't make any penises. They were a little more appropriate for the children running around.
Okay.
They just hung red shirts in front of their houses to help ward off this widow ghost.
Yeah.
And some houses or shirts had notes attached to them, and these notes would be like, there are no men in this house, but only cats and dogs. And a lot of the men actually did flee, like during this time. Like they were scared, and they were like, I'm fucking out of here. If the widow ghost is here, I'm fucking out.
Right.
According to a local villager, Lamam Sarmfime, no other men in the village died in their sleep since the red shirts were hung in front of the house, proving that that method worked for them.
That's crazy. Wow.
In 2020, in the same area, 13 people died in the Bain Tha Laung village. Since most of these who died between November and January aged 17 to 60 were men, residents believe that this was the work of a widow ghost. Because similar to the last village, men were complaining of these sex nightmares and being haunted in their sleep by a widow ghost. It sounds like I'm saying widow, like you little widow ghost.
Widow ghost. Yeah.
Widow ghost.
I mean, you know what's crazy though? Like, well, okay, like me being fun, I want to be like, you know, that does line up. Like if they're all having these dreams and this is happening and da 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 da. But then like the reality me is like, okay, well, maybe it's because they're staying up all night drinking, gambling, smoking, doing God knows what, going home, passing out and
never waking up
because, you know, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why there's a spike. Maybe it's not that they're having sex dreams. Well, it's because probably someone was like, my cousin in a neighboring town had this widow ghost, and then everyone starts
it's
thinking
just
about
rumor,
it.
like, oh, the neighboring town has a widow ghost, and so it's in your fucking head. You're staying up.
And just as plausible as it is that there could potentially be a real widow ghost, it's also plausible that it's proven that there's things called mind over matter.
And there was one instance in one of the villages where they did bring in like people that would investigate all of this. I don't want to say it was actually at like the health department, and they found that like one of the foods that the whole village was eating was contaminated with something.
But like, that's
why only attack men?
And like, why is this? Maybe it's a food that mainly only men ate, but like, why is it giving them the symptoms of sex dreams before their death?
Why are they hallucinating? Crazy. Yeah. The village did what the neighboring town did in 2018, and they hung red shirts. No other nightmare deaths had occurred.
I mean, this is recent.
Yeah, this was 2020. That
Literally.
last one. This situation is very similar to the succubus, obviously.
Yes.
Which when we talked about succubus, I think was like a Valentine's Day
I can't remember
episode. But we did talk about how different cultures have different variations of the succubus.
Yes.
But if you don't know what a succubus is, it's a female demon or supernatural entity who appears in dreams to seduce men through sexual activity.
That's February 2022, Valentine's Day. You guys should just go listen to it.
Yeah. According to some folklore, a succubus needs semen to survive, leaving the men dead or very, very ill. Sometimes relationships will form with like repeated sexual activity. And like the succubus and the human will create a bond. And a lot of humans are like, I love that demon kind of thing. It's very interesting.
I love getting dicked down by that demon.
But it actually stems from the Bible because both the first succubi and the first incubi, which is the male version of a succubus, are believed to be descendants of Lilith, Adam's first wife. So I have a question for you, and you may not have the answer. You may not want to talk about the answer. But what is the weirdest sex dream you've ever had?
Steven Tyler.
Oh,
I don't remember all the details of it, but it was shocking as shit that it was him in my dream.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't like old. He wasn't like young either. It was like when 2012. So like he had a little bit more meat on his bones, and he just like was an older man with style. I had a sex dream about him.
Yeah.
And I was so genuinely concerned. Steven Tyler, really?
I don't actually know anyone in my sex dreams. Like I never had one with a celebrity, but I did have one time in a skyrise in like New York City. Like I'm in the fucking penthouse. There's windows everywhere, and I'm just getting beat the fuck up with penises. I'm having an orgy.
That's
I'm
crazy.
like, people are watching me. Like you can see the neighboring skyline, and everyone's like at their windows, and
Oh my God, that is crazy.
So I found a Reddit thread. I want to go through a couple of the comments because it's really funny.
Okay.
But I have to view an app, and of course the app needs updated, and of course the app's not updating. So
of course.
Just 1 second. But the question proposed on the Reddit thread is, what is the weirdest sex dream? And while that's loading, I do want to tell you that if you do look at our Google search,
just don't.
Because it's like demon sex dream Reddit. I had sex with a succubus Reddit. Phi Mae Mai Reddit. Red tipped dream sex Reddit.
Good God, we're so getting flagged today.
Oh, for sure.
No, like so bad.
For fucking probably pornography.
Yeah, that we're like, it's not even because we've like stumbled across anything, but we're just doing really weird things.
I was just wanting to know. Like I'm
just curious.
And I found some actually crazy fucking stories.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
So here's one response. What's the weirdest sex dream you've ever had? User says, deleted user, my brain does not want me to fuck Emma Watson. Whenever I try to fuck her in my dream, she either has a padlock on her vagina, turns into a mannequin, collapses into several pieces, turns into my cousin, wears infinite jeans one over the other, or just disappears entirely, leaving me humping the couch like a fucking jerk.
That is the funniest one I've ever heard.
Someone said, it's crazier in the comments.
Someone
said, I don't know why, but I lost it at the cousin part.
Oh.
This one says, so I was standing on top of a dam, like a big hydro dam. I was naked, and just an arm's length away from me was a naked girl who had no face. I turned her around to hit it from the back, and she stood up and slapped me so hard I jumped in my bed and woke myself up. This one's crazy, okay? Dreamt an ex-girlfriend of mine was an airplane. I steered her via her boobs, but climbing, diving, and maintaining altitude were determined by thrust speed. So basically imagine she was spread eagle, face up, and a jet trail was coming out of her ass. And she had her arms spread like wings while I pounded her.
What?
Jet, like in the sky. He's like having sex with an ex-girlfriend who's an airplane.
What the fuck in your brain got you there? Like truly, that's the craziest part of it.
Oh, I didn't read this one. This one sounds crazy. It was a post-apocalyptic world which was actually quite bright and cheerful and happy, except that very few women had survived, and I had to run a weird obstacle course on a bright summer day that combined happy summer camp obstacles with jigsaw-style death traps in competition with hundreds of other men to prove that I was worthy of banging the chick at the end.
Oh my God.
And I don't mean she was given as a prize. I mean, after the bars and wall climb and beam run with swinging obstacles and death walkways, a buzzing saws, an invisible maze with killer robots, she was just laying there on a raised platform that I had to climb up, and I had to bang her to completion as fast as I could to complete the course. What is going on in these brains, guys?
The fuck is going on?
I once dreamt that when I came, it was just a single sperm, like the size of a tadpole. I pulled it out of her and then hit it on the headboard because I thought it was a tadpole, and then we cuddled like normal.
That's crazy.
Someone said I finished into this girl, and she started giving birth to hundreds of tiny, fully grown naked adults. I kept picking up handfuls of these tiny people and trying to keep them all safe, but I kept accidentally squashing and killing them.
That's hilarious.
The first one that I can remember, there was a giant lady with 6 boobs that elongated enough to catch me and drag me.
Oh my
sort
God.
of like tentacles. Oh, the boobs just held me to her and enveloped me. It was scary and awesome, and I was like 8 years old.
That is crazy. I'm still not over the airplane one. I can't get it out of my head.
No,
it's
that
like
one's crazy.
I'm gonna have a bad dream about that tonight. Like 100%.
You're gonna have a sex dream with Logan, but Logan's gonna be the plane, and he's gonna have a jet stream coming out of his ass, and you're gonna be in the sky.
I would be too stressed out to even figure out how
I
we're
love
gonna
the
land.
Emma Watson one.
That's hilarious.
Like,
The
there's
jeans.
a padlock, infinite jeans.
The padlock is hilarious. It turns into my cousin.
Turns into my cousin.
That was
Anyway, let us know your craziest sex dreams.
Please
Put them on Reddit.
Do it on Reddit. We will literally do. Oh my God, for Valentine's Day.
At TBB, craziest
Oh
sex
my
dreams.
God, please. And if you have like a psycho crazy sex experience on Ames, we'll do that for
Yeah.
TBB. That's so
Let
good.
us know.
February, because we'll be recording. I don't know if we'll record the Valentine's Day one, depending on where in the hell on the week Valentine's Day falls, but we recorded up to January 7th, and so then we'll probably record to like the second week of February off of that. So do it
Send
now.
those in now.
Point is, do it now. Okay, on to my story, Morgan. That was really good.
Thanks.
I enjoyed it. I wish we could do an entire podcast where we read people's craziest sex dreams.
Yeah, that's actually crazy.
That's crazy. I'm gonna get rid of Mila though.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
So do you have a sex dream case for us today?
No, I don't. I wish that's what this was. I wish it was a giant bad dream, but I've never ever, this is my, okay, I'm trying to do something. So I've started, this is my first ever segment on this little thing I want to start doing, like not every month, but like every now and again. And I'm not going to tell you what it is to the end, because if I tell you ahead of time, you're going to be like, okay, we saw that coming. But this is a really different type of crime. I've never really done anything like this on the podcast, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it as much as I enjoyed learning about it, researching it, and scripting this for you. So in 2001, Tanya Head had a career in, let me preface this too. You're going to be like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Just stick with me, okay? Just stick with me, okay?
I'm scared.
I know, I'm scared too now. So in 2001, Tanya Head had a career in global investments for Merrill Lynch and worked in the South Tower of the World Trade Center on the 78th floor. I'm sure you all can see where I'm about to go with this information. So if this is like a conversation you don't want to be a part of right now, I 100% understand
who this is.
And skip forward.
I know what's happening.
Yeah. So as we all know, on September 11th, 2001, the first flight, which was hijacked American Airlines Flight 11, Boeing 767 with 92 souls on board, including 76 passengers, 11 crew members, and 5 hijackers, took off from Logan International Airport in Boston, headed towards LAX at 7:59 a.m. 15 minutes after that, the 5 hijackers, armed with box cutters, took over the plane and forced their way to the cockpit. Meanwhile, flight number 2, United Airlines Flight 175, another Boeing 767 with 65 souls on board, including 51 passengers, 9 crew members, and 5 more hijackers, also took off from Boston's Logan International Airport, headed towards LAX at 8:14 a.m. And 6 minutes after Flight 175 took off hundreds of miles southwest, flight number 3, American Airlines Flight 77, a Boeing 757 with 64 souls on board, 53 passengers, 6 crew members, and 5 more hijackers took off from Washington. I can never say this one. Dulles. Yeah, Dulles International Airport in Northern Virginia at 8:20 a.m., also headed for LAX. Back on the second flight, United Airlines 175, just 28 minutes after takeoff at 8:42 a.m., 5 hijackers took over the plane, murdering both of the pilots and stabbing several of the crew members. At that exact time, delayed United Airlines Flight 93, which is flight number 4, took off from Newark International Airport headed towards San Francisco. This was a Boeing 757 with 44 souls on board, including 33 passengers, 7 crew members, and 4 more hijackers. 4 minutes after the 4th flight, United Airlines 93 took off, the first flight, American Airlines 11, was deliberately crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center between the 93rd and the 99th floors at 8:46 a.m. 17 minutes later, the second flight, United Airlines 175, was deliberately crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center between the 77th and the 85th floor at 9:03 a.m. 34 minutes after this, the third flight, American Airlines 77, crashed into the west wall of the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m. And just 26 minutes after that, at 10:03 a.m., the fourth flight, United Airlines 93, was heroically taken down in a Pennsylvania field after the passengers fought their hijackers for 31 minutes to prevent another deliberate crash. In total, it is believed and it's confirmed, but also estimated because there's plenty of more people that are still unaccounted for to this day. Over 2,996 people were killed in these attacks, with 2,763 deaths taking place as a result of the attacks on the World Trade Center. So with Tanya Head working on the 78th floor of the South Tower, she was in the impact zone. That morning, Tanya had gone into a meeting on the 96th floor of the South Tower where the Fiduciary Trust Company International was, helping to close a merger between the trust and Franklin Resources, Inc. And that's where she was at 8:46 a.m. when the first plane hit the North Tower. They all watched in horror as they were trying to figure out what was going on and what they needed to do, with Tanya anxiously waiting to hear back from her husband Dave that worked on one of the impacted floors of the North Tower. She began making her way down to the 78th floor and was waiting for an express elevator so she could leave the South Tower when suddenly at 9:02 a.m. her tower was hit. The next thing that she could remember was coming to as she was trying to escape the flames and realizing that her arm was nearly severed and burning. As she tried to crawl to safety, a man who was clearly dying and going to die, trapped under lots of rubble, grabbed her and asked her to give his wedding ring to his wife. Took it off of his hand. She took it from him, and she continued fighting. She was helping others as much as she could. However, she was able to make her way down the crowded, smoky, debris-filled stairwells with this group that had sort of formed, and together they were able to make their way into the lobby of the building, where a firefighter was able to help her and carry her to an ambulance that rushed her to a hospital before the towers collapsed. At the hospital, Tanya was treated for severe burns on her arm, but she could not recall much of this time as she was in and out of consciousness, and also because, her brain blocked out the majority of this. But unfortunately, what she does remember is waking up either 5 or 6 days after all of this and hearing news that her husband, Dave, did not survive. Tanya was one of only 19 survivors that had been at or above the point of impact when the planes hit. Tanya talks at length in interviews about how this day affected her, how losing her husband, who was the love of her life and her best friend, changed her forever. But she knew that she survived for a reason and would keep his legacy alive by talking about him and that horrific day. And one of the ways that she did this was by establishing a foundation in her husband's memory called Dave's Children Foundation. And another way that she was able to help out was by joining the World Trade Center Survivors Network in 2004, which she dedicated her entire life to, giving so much of her time and her money to grow and support this network that had helped her so much. With Tanya's help, the network was able to obtain state funding, and with that, she was able to find a trauma expert that led therapy sessions for all of the survivors in the group, all of which was amazing. But the most profound thing that Tanya actually did for this network of survivors was get them, of course, optional access to visit Ground Zero in a way to aid their healing healing journey, which truly helped so many of these survivors gain closure by feeling like they were really able to physically pay their respects to their friends, co-workers, acquaintances, and heroes that lost their lives that day. These amazing acts made Tanya one of the leaders of the group. She was like a spokesperson and one of the frontmen that kind of headed up a lot of the network's events. She was so incredibly strong, and she shared her strength with other survivors. One of the things that she implemented in the group were these like workshops that revolved around healing and coming to terms with trauma.
I mean, it is amazing what she's doing.
No, truly, which she felt was best done through writing. In these workshops, these survivors would write out the details of their stories through different points of view, detailing each and every single step that they took from arriving to work that morning on September 11th to getting to safety and everything that followed. However, it kind of got a little dicey because for the members, they felt like it was becoming a competition of sorts, because a part of these like writing workshops was to release the story from you. That's like the point of writing it down and reading it to others or allowing others to read it, meaning that she would take these stories and she would like post them on the website and the blog that the Survivors Network had. And it kind of became a thing of like, oh, well, so-and-so got this many likes and comments. This person had their story picked up by a news network. This person's story was shared this many times on these websites, etc., etc., etc. And another thing about Tanya is that she would send out these like mass emails or like mass updates to, and it kind of started off as more of like being like a organizational thing for the network, but then she started kind of using it as like a Facebook post, and she would like send out these mass emails about updates in her life or heroic things that she had done or memories that came to her that filled in blanks. And at first it was all good, but then it just started to get dark and weird. Like she was updating these 500 people in this mass email thread about her life as if it was a Facebook post or something. And in the beginning, these were stories about her healing journeys. So an example that is commonly used in people that report and cover this case, it's about her wedding dress. So I'm going to use that one as well. So I called Dave her husband earlier, but he was actually like just her fiance, and they were just a few months away from getting married at the time of the terrorist attacks.
Bitch, I thought you were saying like I called Dave, her husband, earlier.
No.
I was like, what?
No, I didn't call him. I did not use the Susan call phone network to get me there. Exactly. So I called Dave, like I referred to Dave as her husband earlier, but he's actually just her fiance, and they were in the process of planning their wedding. Either way, a few months or maybe even like weeks after the dust had sort of settled, in terms of like the recovery efforts slowing down and kind of life beginning to start again and start in a new way, she gets a call from the bridal shop that she had gone to and purchased her dress, and they were telling her that the dress had arrived. So her and Dave had picked out and paid for it before and ordered it.
Dave also worked at the Trade Center?
Yeah, he worked in the North Tower, and he died.
Okay.
She gets this call. She finds out that this wedding dress is ready to be picked up, and she's conflicted about it. Like, she's upset because it's like a part of her life that feels like a dream at this point, because it like doesn't even exist anymore. It can't exist anymore in the new reality that was after these horrific events. So she's like, let me call you back. So she calls him back about a day later, and she tells them that she wants to donate the dress and for them to give it to someone in honor of Dave and her love for each other. The bridal company was like, thank you so much. So she like writes this out, and she's like detailing, and everyone in this that's on this email thread is like, oh my God, like, I'm so proud of you. That was amazing. What an incredible act of kindness. But after a bit, her mass emails, like I was saying, instead of being about her healing journey, they were still about her healing journey, but they were just getting dark. Like, she would detail memories that were coming back to her as time had passed that were very, very traumatic and triggering for people that
are on a healing
also
process.
You survivors of this and dealing with
people heal differently,
PTSD and things like that. She's getting these like traumatic memories that are coming back to her, and they're really hard for her to come to terms with if they were real or if it's her brain now filling in the blanks. So she would share these with this network, and some of the examples that are commonly used again when reporting on Tanya's case are about her seeing her assistant get decapitated, that severely injured man that gave her the ring, talking about her interactions with the man with the red bandana. There's more of like, when I was running down the stairs, I saw a man who was severed in half, like just details like that, just little flashes of memories. And it was sort of like, as time passed, Tanya would remember and share more and more of these instances and in very intense details from that day. And of course, with the more and more details that were added to each of these stories and to each of these memories, people began being like, well, wait, you were telling me that this is actually how it was before. And she's like, yeah, but I think I misremembered and can't tell what's dreams and what my brain's filling in versus what's real. But like this one, I feel like was really real, da 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 da. And so people began to kind of be wary of what she's saying. And one of the biggest things that people were wary about was the lack of details about her husband. Like, she would give a very vague, basic last name that was slightly differed a few times, but relatively the same, like Smith. You get it.
William.
Exactly. Often the side groups, the networks of survivors, kind of begin talking about these questions that they are having about Tanya and, being like, should we go ask her for clarification on these? Because this is just bothering me for some reason. And for some reason, it's because they literally had trauma they're trying to work through, and they're getting these crazy emails from this woman that's detailing her trauma and, giving them flashbacks and stuff. But, of course, if someone was a big fan of Tanya's, because people did become more like followers and fans of hers, heard these conversations happening with people questioning Tanya, they would quickly, go over there and be like, what are you guys talking about? Which would then make the people that are questioning her feel really, really bad, because this is someone that has gone through the same exact thing as them. There's only, 500 of them in this group. Like, we only have each other. And she's grieving. She's continuing to help people who are also grieving. And also she has literal scars on her from her injuries. And like, who the fuck are they to question that? Like, how would they feel if someone was questioning their trauma?
And she lost her husband.
Exactly.
Like, she really went through it.
So like,
double time.
Exactly. And like, we're lucky to be alive, and here we are, and she's helping us so much. And what are we doing? Just sitting here questioning her? Either way, obviously this network, and specifically Tanya, gained a very large following because of how much work they were doing to help survivors and kind of advocate for the survivors. So of course, the New York Times is working on a piece to showcase what this group does and who this famous Tanya woman is. And as they're doing this, they are contacting survivors that they had worked with on a 2002 piece with all of the survivors that were from either on or above the impact zones. They were just kind of shocked that no one in any of these pieces had mentioned Tanya, or that she wasn't interviewed in the first place. Because according to her stories, the second that she was out of the hospital, she was boots on the ground working on helping others. How in the world did these journalists from the Times in their own city miss this woman?
Right.
That's a big miss on their part. So they start looking into Tanya and her story while preparing this grand opening of the 9/11 Tribute Center, which opened on September 9th, 2005. Throughout this center, there were written stories of the survivors, and one of these stories was Tanya's, which impacted truly every single person that read it. Therefore, she was chosen to give tours to very important people that were coming to visit on this opening day, such as the governor of New York, the mayor of New York, the former governors, the former mayors, big politicians, big celebrities, big activists, etc. And this was all like streamed live, recorded, mics in her face the entire time this was happening. But after she finishes this tour that's televised and everything, she of course has to update her mass email network detailing her experience. And she spoke about how overwhelming it was and how much pressure she felt was on her with all these very important people being around her and all these cameras being on her, telling people that she felt like she kept getting tripped up on her words and would catch herself nervously rambling. And the majority of people were very supportive of her and were like, babe, you did so good. You're so brave. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do that at all. Like, who cares if you rambled a little bit and got stuck up on your words? We're just so proud of you, so on and so forth. But others felt like she was bragging in this email, or more excited about the publicity that she got than the honor it was to be able to represent this group of survivors, especially because because with all the interviews and publicity that came from this experience, her inconsistencies in her stories were literally being recorded for the first time. Like the fact that she originally said that she was carried out by the firefighter that took her to the ambulance, yet in one of these interviews that was televised, she says that it was actually the man in the red bandana that put the fire out on her arm and led her out of the burning building. Did I say bandana weird?
Bandana.
I was like,
in the red bandana.
I don't know why that came out of my mouth like that. Red bandana, my bad. And then in September of 2006, the New York Daily News posted this like feature on Tanya titled An Amazing Woman and Her Smile. Well, when the authors from the New York Times 2002 piece read this, along with all the other survivors from above or on the impact zone, it just like didn't make sense. Despite all of this, though, Tanya is elected as the president of the World Trade Center Survivors Network. And with this, the New York Times reaches out to her because they are very, very interested in doing an entire feature story about her life, her survival, her story, and her activism in 2007. And she agrees, and they begin this interview process. And like, just so you know, it's a lot of it's kind of over email at this point in time in terms of like, just write it down. And again, she's a writer. She's doing these, so she's like, I'm going to send you the story, then they'll go have coffee and they'll do an in-person interview, and then they'll do phone interviews and talk on the phone for hours, because that's truly what it takes with a journalist. Like for them to fully get your story and do a whole feature, like think how long a feature is, right? Like it takes time. So they begin this process, and once they had her full story of events from September 11th, 2001, they ask her for the full names of these people, these characters, these real people, but characters in her story, because they need to expand on that more. They need more lines for this to be a big feature spotlight. And examples of people that they asked for full names on were her husband, her assistant, some co-workers, people that she lost, so they could interview the families and figure out, like, you know, what was the relationship with Tanya before and how has she helped you since? This is when the original feature piece turns into a full-blown investigative piece, because Tanya didn't really have names to give them. The other survivors and the networks were being interviewed and recounting Tanya's stories. These reporters are comparing it to the videotapes that they have from the news networks and other articles that have been written about Tanya and emails that she had sent them, and then the emails that she had sent out to these mass groups. Everyone's like, okay, these are all inconsistent stories. There's nothing that is the same when it's told. And trust me, from coming from someone that's like, I love to spice a story up. Like when something scary has happened to me, that story stays the same. You know what I mean? Like I'm not spicing that.
Something traumatic.
Yeah. It's what I'm capable of remembering and recounting. So the New York Times uses the names that Tanya had given other people, or like, you know, said in passing to people, and they begin reaching out to loved ones of Dave, her husband / fiance. I don't know if I said this already, but they found that there was a Dave with the name that she had given. Example is Dave Smith. And there was a Dave Smith that worked in the North Tower and did die on 9/11 and was working above the impact zone. So they kind of just put two and two together and were like, okay, this is the only Dave so-and-so. And so then they call that guy's family, and the family is like, who? Tanya?
Oh, shit.
Never heard of her. Dave was never engaged or even dated a woman named Tanya. So they go take this to Tanya, and Tanya's like, well, it was secret. Like, he didn't really speak with his family. And the family's like, we just went through all of his emails, all of his devices. There's nothing about anybody named Tanya. There's no relationships that are being had.
Busted.
So they start calling like every single Dave, that family of a Dave that lost their life in 9/11 that day. I mean, everyone, and nothing. No Tanya. So next, they reached out to Merrill Lynch, and they had no record of ever employing anyone by the name of Tanya Head. In fact, they didn't even have an office in the World Trade Center at that time. Merrill Lynch did not have an office in...
And that's where she was allegedly working.
There for a meeting, because she worked on the 78th floor, and yeah. So...
Holy shit.
That's crazy. No one, not even Tanya, could recall the name of the man who asked her to give his ring to his widow. And she said since the beginning that she was able to give a widow the ring. So she's like, I can't remember their name. And so they do like a public call out and they're like, hey, did this woman give you your husband's ring? Because he gave it to her when she was crawling out of the building, and no one ever came forward. And someone would have come forward with that.
Yeah, like someone knocked on my door one day.
Yeah. Exactly. 100%. The Times takes this information to her and is trying to figure out like what is going on. And over the phone call, all that she would say is, I have not filed any claims with the Federal Victims Compensation Fund. I have not done anything illegal. And this is when Tanya begins spiraling because she felt like these reporters were trying to discredit her, thus the entire World Trade Center survivors network. She starts going to others in the group, her friends and her supporters, and telling them about this thing that's going on and this fear that she has that the media is after her. And the majority of these people believe her. They began backing her up, telling others about these crazed Times reporters that were coming after the survivors group, and they're supporting her, they're protecting her, they're encouraging her to warn others about what's going on. And they even help her retain Stephanie Bergang Adwar as her lawyer. And then naturally she takes to her email network and lays out this whole situation that's going on and sends it out to the 500 people, warning her followers to not speak with the media because she knew they were up to something bad. And Tanya then backed out of all of the 3 more scheduled interviews that she had with the Times and refused to speak with any and all reporters. But some people didn't take the same approach because when they were contacted by reporters, they talked, or they went to reporters themselves, and the reporters asked these people if they knew anything about Tanya's life prior to the attack. But most people either didn't know or had only vague details, such as some said that she told them that she was the daughter of a diplomat. She grew up rich and like with a big mansion and designer clothes and nice cars, and that she told others that she got her undergrad degree from Harvard and her graduate business degree from Stanford, which both universities the Times reaches out to, and they're like, yeah, never enrolled anybody under these names, so no. And in some bios for like speaking engagements that she had done, she claims that she was a quote financial executive who had done work in the US, UK, France, Holland, Singapore, and Argentina for leading firms. And then next they look up the foundation that she told everyone she established and served as the executive director of in honor of her husband, Dave's Children's Foundation, only to find out that there were no registration records or records in general of such a charity on file with both the federal government and the New York State Registry.
Holy shit.
The Times sent their reporters and investigators to have a private meeting with other leaders in the survivors network and told them every single thing that they had found, warning them that they were going to be releasing this expose on Tanya on September 27th, which prompted the network to vote to remove her as the president and director of the group. On September 27th, 2007, a front page feature was released by the New York Times called "A Sky Full of Lies," exposing Tanya Head as a fraud. This took over the nation within hours, and more truth was quickly coming to light. This prompts this Spanish newspaper to call the Times and release a story that claims that at 8:46 a.m. on September 11th, 2001, Eastern Standard Time, whatever that computes to in Barcelona, Tanya Head was marked on time and in class present for the entire class at a university in Barcelona where she was enrolled, with several peers coming forward and claiming that she was 100% with them in the classroom that day. And even more of her friends and peers coming forward claiming that she had those injuries and burns to her arm since well before 9/11.
Holy shit.
Telling various stories to different people about house fires, car accidents, freak incidents, an injury on a horse, which by the way, she's never
been
had
a compulsive liar
for her whole life. So who the hell is Tanya Head? Well, first off, her real name is Alicia Esteve Head. She was born in Barcelona, Spain on July 31st, 1973, to a very prominent family that was involved in a huge 1992 financial scandal that landed both her father and her brother in prison for a good amount of time. She attended the it was all fraud.
The whole family.
The whole family, for all fraud. She attended the University of Barcelona and worked for the Spanish hotel company called Hotel de la Via Olimpiesa, I don't know, before getting a job in Barcelona as a management secretary from 1998 to 2002. She ended up going back to school to get her master's degree, enrolling in ESADE, and she enrolled there like in the the spring semester of 2001. And from what most can tell, she only traveled to the US for the first time in 2003.
So she gets there, starts up a group, or just joins a group and becomes president?
She joins a group. And it also seems as if she had began making her original post about her survival story and sharing her story online soon after the 2001 attacks, meaning she was writing these stories while living in Spain.
Holy shit.
And putting them on the webs.
Like, for what?
For what? She just became obsessed with it. That's what it was. It was like a fantasy. After all this came out, Tanya abruptly fled New York, and no one knows where she went. In February 2008, an anonymous email was sent to a member of the World Trade Center Survivors Network from a Spanish account claiming that Tanya Head had died by suicide, which turned out to be her spreading yet another lie.
What?
Because several people then physically saw Tanya Head and her mother in New York around Ground Zero on September 14th, 2011. In July of 2012, Head was fired from a position that she had gotten herself at Inter Partner Assistance, which is a Barcelona-based insurance company, after her coworkers and employers learned about the fraud she is and the shit she pulled in New York. So they like kicked her out. And then the last known records of her are from 2021, when it was reported that she had opened a renovation company in Barcelona. But either way, though, she was never charged with anything legally because she technically never committed a crime. She never took money or funding. In fact, she spent
even like all the exposés or like all the article write-ups, she never got paid for that.
She never got paid for any of that. She never took any money.
What was her fucking day job?
And in fact, she just spent all of her time and her money on this lie that she had made up and decided to help people with it, which leaves a lot of people conflicted with mixed feelings, because at the end of the day, she actually did really help a lot of people in their grieving and recovery and trauma healing. But it also was some weird giant scam where she was like cosplaying for her own personal high, I guess.
Yeah.
A survivor of the 9/11 attacks. So
crazy.
That is the case of Tanya, aka Alicia Esteve Head, and this is my first edition of Thursday Exposés of Crazy Hoes.
All
so
right.
I want to do these like every now and again where we cover a
it.
crazy bitch, like someone that it's like you didn't technically commit a crime,
Anna Delvey,
but you did. Exactly. We did her, didn't we?
I don't think we ever
I think
covered
we
her.
did her. Yeah, I think I did do her.
I don't think so.
Anyways, yeah, that's Tanya Head.
That's crazy. It's so fucking sad too, because
It's
you're
really
right.
sad.
She did bring a lot of relief for a lot of people, but she did it with the wrong intentions.
And she like technically never took anything or like hurt anyone, but she
it was
did.
sick in her
It was
own
sick
way.
and twisted as fuck is what it was. Like, that is disgusting. Yeah, I wonder what she's doing. Like,
She's listening to
you
this.
know that she's like probably lying somewhere else. Like, this is
for
someone who is a
sure.
compulsive liar
And what's
about
also
the
crazy
craziest
is like
things.
you start posting things in 2001. Now I know social media was not what it is today,
Mm-hmm.
but like if you have an online blog or an online forum, usually back then you would have a couple friends on it. So like no one,
she
no
didn't really have
classmate,
friends.
No one on the internet was like, why is she posting like she was in 2001? She wasn't in New York
Because they knew her as Alicia.
Oh.
And yeah, and remember this, who is Alicia? Tanya went to Harvard and Stanford, babe.
Yeah, you're right.
And what's crazy is I almost feel like she got a little in over her head, and that's when her shit started to crumble, because it's not like this is some sophisticated lie.
You didn't need to become the president.
No,
I mean,
you're
get a grip.
Think about those emails. She's just sending like traumatizing, made up shit to these people
Yeah.
who actually went through it. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
There's like literally an entire documentary.
There's an entire list of people that faked being in 9/11.
Yeah, there's like a ton. Like literally at the bottom of like a Wikipedia when I was just reading the
related articles.
Yeah, other people similar. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's crazy. People that lie, it's for attention.
Yeah.
They just want to feel like they have attention, and like that's so fucked up. You're crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
That's crazy. She almost should have been charged for
fraud, mental anguish for the survivors of her sending emails,
harassment to the survivors, like, because that's but then they were like, I mean, she literally did help, like those writing workshops, like, you know, it's not like she was a trauma expert or anything. That's what's like even crazier about it. It's not like she was a trauma expert that did this as like a way to like do research and like unethical research at that. But I've known about
Crazy
Tanya
house.
Head, but I never knew the extent of it. And I'm loving this expose thing. So
Me too.
yeah,
More exposés.
yeah. 10 out of 10. Okay, love you guys. We have to hop on a meeting, so we gots to go.
Love ya.
But we'll talk to you on Tuesday for TBB. And I think this week is a new one called Talk Show.
It's fun.
It's fun. Okay. Hope you liked my music too. Haha. Love ya. Bye.
Love you, bye.